The Home Pros Radio Show.
Welcome to this very special edition of the Home Pros Radio Show podcast. I'm Tommy Donovan with RIC Home Inspections and your co-host for the Home Pros Radio Show. Thank you for joining us. Normally during our show, I team up with my co-host Shane Hips with Closing Contractor in an effort to help homeowners solve their home improvement and repair struggles. Well, in this podcast, we're turning our focus toward a different type of struggle. It's type 1 diabetes. There's an estimated 1.25 million Americans living with this disease today, and according to the Juvenile Diabetes Awareness Foundation, an estimated 5 million Americans will be diagnosed type 1 diabetic by 2050. We can keep that from happening, however, if we can find a cure. As a father of 3 diabetic children, I've experienced firsthand how diabetes changes the lives of its patients and their loved ones. November is National Diabetes Awareness Month, and we observe this as the perfect opportunity to share the stories of those who live with type 1 diabetes. Joining us in the studio is Dr. Bryce Nelson, pediatric endocrinologist and diabetologist, who is one of the many doctors leading the front lines of the battle toward finding a cure. We begin our discussion with the RIC Home Inspections photo from the field, which is featured in the show description of this podcast. RIC Home Inspections photo from the field.
What are you looking at? I know what I'm doing.
Did you see that? That's right. Did you see our post? Very special post we had on our Facebook page this week. Look us up on our Facebook page at Home Pros Radio. We've got 3 little ones that are dear to my heart. There were 3 of my 4 kids who are all type 1 diabetic. They're showing off their sights. You know, folks, I've always felt like that my kids were out of sight. And they're showing their sights from their diabetic insulin pumps. That's something that we deal with on a daily basis, and I'm sure that there are plenty of parents and even some kids out there that are listening this morning. We'd like to share our story, and we encourage you to call in and share your story as well as we bring in Dr. Bryce Nelson, who many of you deal with diabetes on a daily basis probably know. Before we bring Bryce in, we're going to play a special Home Pros mystery sound. If anybody is familiar with diabetes, they're probably familiar with this sound. Can you tell me what that sound is? Give us a call. We're going to play it one more time for you. I bet our physician, Bryce Nelson, might have an idea of what it is. What do you think? You don't answer it, though. Don't answer it. Do you think you know what it is? All right. All right, good deal. And that was the voice of Dr. Bryce Nelson, pediatric endocrinologist and diabetologist. I didn't know that word existed until
it's a lot of ology, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. In fact, I almost feel like you know, by calling you a diabetologist, I'm expecting you to come in and do some sort of performance. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to the stage. Like you're going to juggle something. Or
I was trying to come up with something to hum, but I couldn't think of anything. Sorry.
All right. Well, tell us, Bryce. See, Bryce and I go way back. We've known each other since high school. To kind of share my story, we have 4 kids. Our youngest, John, after he was born, my wife was aware of some of the signs that diabetes can cause, some of the symptoms, and she was telling me one day, I think John might have diabetes. So she took him into the doctor. He was diagnosed. I got a call when I was out doing an inspection one day. You need to come. It's what I was thinking it was. And of course, whenever a parent is hit with something like this, it's especially me, because I haven't had any experience with it whatsoever. You kind of feel like you're being hit by a truck. So there I was in the doctor's office, kind of just having all this new information thrown at me, and all of a sudden I feel this on the back of my shoulder, and I turn around, Tommy, and there's Bryce, Dr. Nelson, who I've known since high school. We actually went to college together as well.
Yeah.
And boy, was that like a load off of my shoulders, literally, because of whenever you're in a situation like that and you see someone you know, it's always so nice to have. And tell us, what is it that you do as a pediatric endocrinologist?
Yeah. So, as a pediatric endocrinologist, most of what we see and we try to help families with is obviously with diabetes, but we see any kind of hormone problem. So it could be children who have thyroid issues, children who have growth issues, children who have problems with puberty. These pesky little hormones run all through your bloodstream and regulate a lot of parts of your body. And so we help make sure that these kids' bodies are tuned in and there's no voltage drop and all of those things.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. And
he worked that right into the show.
Hey, how do you like it?
That's right. There are a lot of crossovers here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And now you have a specific vocation, part of your vocation you spend on specifically diabetes. Why is that?
Well, so it's something that I've always been passionate about. I had a very special person in my life, my uncle, Mitchell Dryman, who he was diagnosed with diabetes when he was 12, and it was a much different time when he was diagnosed. And he was a very influential person in my life, not only with his strength of dealing with this condition, but also, he taught me about music. I mean, Tommy and I go way back, so he knows how much I enjoy music. And
he was a headbanger. I was a rapper.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We were East Coast, West Coast before we knew it was cool. But he was a big influence in my life, and I actually lost him in 2003, due to complications from type 1 diabetes. Now, he had a kidney and pancreas transplant by that point, so he had already, he was actually, cured of his diabetes at that point. They used that word cure because he wasn't having to check his blood sugars. His blood sugars were normal because of the transplant. But we ended up losing him, from some complications in 2003, just as I was beginning my training, my medical training. And so, he's always been the reason that I do this. And while I love what I do, I hate the disease. And I'm going to put my boxing gloves on and we're going to take it on head on. And I really can't do that only in the clinic. My mission coming back home was so that I can help improve the lives of these kids. And in order, you can't help your community without being in your community. So that's why we work real hard in our clinic to make sure that we're in our community helping these kids and living life to the fullest, because they absolutely deserve that.
And you don't just say it, you do it, because of one of the things that you do have every year as a part of your mission. You started Camp Buddy, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that was exciting. So we've now been doing this 2 years, and it's been a passion that I've wanted to bring to my hometown. And so this is a day camp that we run through the Greenville Health System, and we do it at the Kroc Center. We do it every summer, and we get to serve about 35 to 40 children between the ages of 6 to 12, and they get to come and experience camp life, and they get to learn what it means to do all that and not have to worry about having diabetes. And they get to learn that they can do whatever they set their mind to, whatever they want to do, they can do it. We have kids that will come and, it might be the first time that they check their own blood sugar. It might be the first time that they change their own pump site, and they're doing it in a loving community that is there to support them. And we get to celebrate those heroes, through that camp. And it also gives parents the comfort of knowing that they're going to be able to leave their children with qualified professionals that know how to help take care of them.
Right here in the area.
That's right. Right.
I think another thing that's really big for not only the patients but the parents is to know that there are other patients and parents,
right,
who are in the area that they can connect with, that they can share with, and kind of go through this journey together.
Right.
Because it changes your life.
Right.
And we want to share a little bit of that with you, the listeners, this morning. We want to do what we can to help support Camp Buddy, raise funds for Camp Buddy. We've got a type 1 diabetes quiz. I've embellished it a little bit, but took it from the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation and their website that we're going to get to. And what we want to do is encourage callers to call in. If we'd like to ask you a question and see what you know, if you get the question right, Home Pros will donate $10 to the to Camp Buddy and Greenville Hospital System. And then we also want to encourage any listeners out there who do want to support us to also call in and offer a match. You can do that, or whatever amount you would like to do to support this special mission that Dr. Nelson has created here with Camp Buddy and the fight against type 1 diabetes. We are actually, I've got, going back to our photo from the field, which includes my 3, and I have an unusual situation. Many families might have 1 kid. Well, out of my 4, I've got 3 of them. And we almost need a full-time nurse living in our house to keep track of what we have to go through on a daily basis. But I want to introduce our listeners to Thomas and Alona and John. Well, they've already met John, right? Haven't they, Shane?
Yeah, they've met John in the very beginning.
That's it. John's been with us in and out of the studio since the beginning. But first, we haven't had anybody with the closing contractor mystery sound. All right, anybody out there have an idea? We're if we get a correct answer to this one, that's $10 in the bucket. So listen to this carefully. We also want you to call in and join us for our type 1 diabetes quiz. One of the things that's really cool that the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation does on the website is they try to give you a feel for what it's like to deal with type 1 diabetes on a regular basis. And as they say on their website, children with type 1 diabetes, they have to be doctors. They have to be mathematicians. They have to be personal trainers. They have to be dietitians. When you're diagnosed at a young age, let's see, we got John here. Say hello, John.
Hey, guys.
How old are you?
8, 9.
You forgot? He's 9. He's 89. Jeez.
Yeah, he's old.
Yeah. So he was diagnosed when he was 1, right? And then we've got Alona. Good morning, Alona, over there.
Hi, good morning.
Get up close to the mic so we can hear you.
Good morning.
She was diagnosed just a year ago.
Not even a year.
Yeah. And then we've got Thomas in here. He talked, but he doesn't have a mic. You were diagnosed, what, just over 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Thomas is, he's 13, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. I got that quiz question right. Yeah. All right, so, well, what happens is they get diagnosed, they become wise beyond their years. This is why Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation invites you to test your knowledge against a 9-year-old. All right, John, you're the 9-year-old. All right? And a feature that they call Get Quizzed by a Whiz Kid. For those of you familiar with the show, I love trivia. And this week it's diabetes trivia. All right, so we're going to start with question 1. We've got a couple of callers. And let's go ahead with, let's take a call from, actually, Jeff from Pickens. If you guys could see us in here, we look like a clown car. There's so many people in the studio. Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
I'm good. How about y'all?
Good. Doing well. Let me ask you this. We're going to test your knowledge, your diabetes knowledge against my 9-year-old son and see how well you do here. Let me ask you this. And don't worry, these aren't too difficult. This is my daughter, Alona.
Hi.
Okay. Hello.
True or false? I did not develop my type 1 diabetes because of my diet or lifestyle choices.
Is that true or false? True. Very good.
Absolutely.
All right. So we have answer. That's $10 in the pot. Well, Jeff, thank you for calling, and I appreciate your participation in the show.
Well, thank you very much. Y'all have a great day, and I wish you well.
All right, thank you. And folks, if anybody has any guesses for this to this mystery sound, we're going to play it again.
I used to use one of those.
Oh.
But now I don't.
All right.
Ooh.
I didn't
like that.
I used to use one of those. I just got like a week ago. I stopped using them because now I'm on a pump. So hint, hint.
All right. Well, let's hear. We've got another caller here, Dave from Charlotte. Dave.
Hey, how are you doing?
Any thoughts on the sound?
I think it's an insulin pen, so like a flex pen or something.
Oh, nice, Dave.
Way to go, Dave. That's another $10 in the pot. So, Thomas, since you're not on the mic, why don't you do the math for us? 10 plus 10.
20.
All right, thank you. I was getting worried there. All right, Dave, thanks. I appreciate your efforts in contributing. Do you want to take a question?
Sure.
Let's go. Let's see if we can make it 30. All right, ready?
Okay.
Go ahead, Alona.
Yep.
Type 1 diabetes is diagnosed in only children, only teens, only adults, or anyone at any age?
Anyone at any age.
Absolutely. Way to go, Dave.
2 for 2. All right.
job.
Good job, Dave.
Well, I was diagnosed back in January this year.
Same.
Oh, wow.
I was diagnosed December, like at the very end of December 28th, I believe. So,
Really? Yeah.
yeah.
And I may have had it sooner than that, but that was the first really acknowledgement that I did have it.
Was it that you knew the symptoms, or what was it?
Well, I actually had a small stroke. I went to the emergency room, and they saw my blood sugar and a couple other things were high. So that's really the first time I was actually I knew for sure that I had it.
Well, here, let me ask you this. Let's do another quiz question for Dave. See if you can make it 40. All right? And this has to do with what we're talking about, the symptoms.
Which symptom did I not experience when I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes? Extreme thirst, frequent urination, hives, or drowsiness?
What was the third one? Hives?
Hives, yes.
Probably hives.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
All right.
Good job.
Excellent, Dave. I appreciate it. Thanks for calling in. And if let's try to keep in touch. There are plenty of organizations out there that can help. I guess you're from Charlotte, so you're right there in the hub of the
JDRF Western Carolinas chapter. Absolutely, yeah. We're part of that here in Greenville, but they're a big organization that we're thankful are supporting our kids and people with type 1 diabetes.
Good luck, Dave, and thanks for listening. Hey, Thomas.
Yes.
Where are we at? What's our total? $40. Let's see if we can make that grow. Shane, let's put you on the spot with question number 4.
Okay, I'm ready.
True or false? Stress cannot affect my blood glucose levels.
I'm going to guess that stress can affect your blood glucose levels.
Which would mean?
Let me go through the question. True or false? Stress would not. That's what it says, right?
Yeah.
False.
All right. Yeah. So what are we at, Thomas? 50. All right. $50. Give us a call, folks. We want to have you join us, see if you can get these questions. Yeah?
I would want to end.
What?
I don't want diabetes.
Yeah? No. Did you hear that? Say it in the microphone, John.
I don't want diabetes.
No, but there are steps we're making, right?
That's
Bryce?
right. That's right.
For-
Yeah. So we're getting there. I mean, it's not only, obviously we've got organizations like the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, which is heavily involved in trying to develop a cure for type 1 diabetes. But, we're getting there, John. We're not quite there yet, but certainly what we have there is hope that we're going to get there. And I believe in my heart we're going to get there. But the more exciting thing in the short term right now is all the amazing technology that we have that can help children manage their diabetes and help their families manage their diabetes. And we have amazing pumps now. We had our first pump that was approved this past year that is the first step in the artificial pancreas. So this closed loop where glucose sensing technology can help the pump run the pump for children, and we're seeing some amazing results in our clinic on the kids who are on this pump. Amazing.
Because what happens right now is you always hear about the finger pricks that diabetics have to go through.
Yeah.
What happens is you have to rely on pricking your finger, taking a sample of blood, and using a meter to get an idea of where your blood glucose levels are, and then you use your pump to apply the medicine.
Right.
And now we're looking at a possible device that can do all of that in one package, right?
Absolutely, yeah. With the newest pump that we have available that can do this, the patients wear a sensor that can tell them their blood sugar levels, and it can do that every 5 minutes. And that pump actually is helping them adjust their insulin doses for them based on those blood sugar levels. And they're still having to do all the other things that patients are having to do with counting carbs and all those things that people, that are like, oh man. And, we, those of us who, didn't like math that much, and I mean, you all of a sudden, just like you said, you have to become a mathematician, often to manage type 1 diabetes and come up with, do formulas and things about, how to figure out what insulin dose to do. And then now we've got the technology that is starting to help people do that for them. And that's really exciting.
And this is the device that many people refer to as the artificial pancreas.
That's
right?
correct. That's correct.
And that's the main cause of type 1 diabetes. Type 1 meaning the fact that a person's pancreas does not function anymore. In these cases, someone's own immune system has has
Right.
attacked.
Yeah, and
Your
that's
pancreas.
Yeah, and that's really the distinction between type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes is, as you were just saying, an autoimmune disease where their body's immune system has started to attack those cells that make insulin. And, you know, I hope it's okay if I say that, Tommy, your family is a classic example of this. I mean, we know that we first saw it with John, but your family was highly involved in some of the research that we do here in Greenville that's part of the Worldwide Research Trial Net, where we're trying to identify those patients at risk, and we identified some of that in your family.
You were able to actually pinpoint the antibodies that could cause it.
Correct.
We knew that two other of our kids had those in their system, and it was a matter with Alona and Thomas. We kind of had a warning, if you will. I mean, we knew that the antibodies were present, and it was in each case a matter of time. It was not if, but when. Right.
But your family was instrumental in helping us do studies where we're trying to see if we can prevent people from getting type 1 diabetes. You know, we're not there yet, but just like, you know, when you're having to diagnose a problem in the house or you're having to diagnose a voltage drop or any of those things, I mean, you've got to do some investigation, and sometimes that investigation leads you down a path where you rule out, like, well, that doesn't work. So now I need to move to the next thing to try to figure that out. We do the same thing in diabetes research. And so while it didn't help prevent the onset of diabetes for your children, what you gave to the community was the ability for us to know, well, this isn't working, but now we got something to build on. And we know that how can we move forward to continue to try to either cure this disease or prevent people from ever getting it. And that I think is power, and that's something that I love about our community.
And that leads us actually to the funding. And in order to make all this happen, we need to help these organizations find those answers and do the research. That is my segue into our next trivia question. Shane, see if you can answer this one. I'll put you on the spot again.
I'll go ahead and say this is something I'm very confused because I'm not around. I don't know the difference at all, but I'll guess.
All right. So, John, you want to read this one?
Yeah,
John wants to read it. All right. Since John wants to read it, read that one right there.
True or false? Type 1 diabetes is contagious.
I'll go with that one. I'm going to go with false.
That is saying that you are correct. It is not contagious. That question actually stems from an experience you had, Bryce, right?
Yeah. So, had a family that was sharing a story. It was actually one of our reps sharing a story that when he was in college, his college roommate didn't want to room with him because he had noticed he was on a pump, and he was concerned that he was going to catch his diabetes like you catch a cold. And that's just from lack of knowledge. That's not how type 1 diabetes happens.
Another misconception about type 1 diabetes. Hey, Paul, you want to get on the air? See if you can answer this one?
Let's give it a try.
All right. Go ahead.
Insulin is a cure for type 1 diabetes. True or false?
That would be false.
All right.
Absolutely correct.
Correct. It is not a cure. It is a way of treating it.
That is correct.
Insulin is what we need in order to break down the sugars in our bodies. Insulin provides the vehicle for doing that. All right. Next question. Type 1 and type 2 diabetes. There's a difference between the two. And we're going to ask John this one. Are you smarter than a 9-year-old? What grade are you in? 5th? 4th? I can't remember.
Oh my God.
I have too many kids. Third grade.
Father of
Are you
the
smarter than a third grader? Thank you, Alona. That's very sweet of you.
What grade am I in?
You're a sophomore.
Yeah.
You're in the 8th grade. All right. So, put me on the spot. Do we get money for that? All right. Ready, Alona? Here we go. Next question. John, I want you to answer this one.
Okay, John. Type 1 diabetes can be reversed. True or false?
Can type 1 diabetes be reversed? True or false?
Wait, what does that mean?
Reverse means, can we do something to your, can we give you medicine or give you something that will keep you from having diabetes anymore?
False.
Type 1 diabetes we cannot reverse, so we do not have a cure. But that's one of the misconceptions out there, because a lot of folks will say, oh, I've been on this weight loss program and I've reversed my diabetes. Well, now that's type 2, which is different.
Yes.
And that's kind of what I was getting at earlier. When your pancreas doesn't work anymore, it doesn't work anymore.
That's right.
So what we want to do to find a cure is find out what's causing that pancreas to go bad.
Right.
And then and take it from there. All right, one last question real quick.
True or false? I can skip a blood sugar check because I'm extremely tired and really need to catch up on my sleep.
John?
False.
All right, we're up there. And thanks to the wits of our participants, we were able to compile a total of $100, which the Home Pros Radio Show will be donating to Camp Buddy, which Dr. Nelson described earlier in this episode. If you would like to add a matching donation to this total, please send us a message including your name, phone number, and email address using the Contact Us page on the homeprosradio.com website. You can also do this by emailing us directly at ask@homeprosradio.com. For more information on type 1 diabetes, including ways that you can get involved with improving the lives of those affected by type 1 diabetes every day, visit the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation online at JDRF.org. It is our hope that through your help, we will find a cure to this dreaded disease, hopefully, God willing, even in our lifetime. Thank you for allowing us to share our story. Until next time, this is Tommy Donovan with RIC Home Inspections and the Home Pros Radio Show.
Thanks for listening to the Home Pros Radio Show. Meet more Home Pros at homeprosradio.com. There, you can also catch full episodes of our show, along with additional information to ensure that your home is in perfect shape. It's the Home Pros Radio Show, brought to you by Prime Lending, home loans made simple. The Home Pros Radio Show, online at homeprosradio.com or on the radio at 94.5 WGTK, The Answer.